Anyway, we've got the 2020 CPC AGM, which we're having as a first online. We've had online committee meetings, which I think have worked really well. Thank you for coming on this afternoon when it's not actually raining outside. And as I said before, we'll try and have a short AGM without too much talking or going on, and then we'll have the prizes announced, and then there'll be a display of all the entries. There'll be some other notices about the rest of the weekend's activity at the end. But before we go any further, we were going to have a minute's silence for 4 people. We've got Jeff Workman. I think Jeff had a huge impact on Craven in Yorkshire, and he remained active well into his 80s. He's best known publicly perhaps for his underground endurance and his commitment to Stump Cross exploration. But as you talk to people, people's personal memories are of great warmth and infection and enthusiasm, and that's what we hold in him. John Normington was a long-standing member of the club with a vast collection of affectionate stories. He was held in hugely high esteem. He was active in K-Rescue and has left an incredible archive, which we're just touching on at the moment. Fred Davis. He wasn't a member of the CPC, but he was a very good friend of the club. He was a regular GG visitor. He was an active caver in Yorkshire and Mendes, and was involved in the development of cave diving. I think all who know him will miss him. And Andy Farrell had been an active member of the club. He'd caved with many of us, and he had huge infectious enthusiasm and energy. His striking contribution to Caving the Dales was his commitment to conservation work. So if we have a minute's silence. Okay, thank you. On to apologies for absence. Hopefully people will have sent apologies to John Helm. I've had apologies, John, from Rowan Worstman, who's working, and Andrew Wilson. So I don't know if you want to add anything. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, John. And if anyone else wants to add any apologies for people, could they put them on the chat messaging? Okay. Now, you've all had the paper circulating in advance, and we had the minutes from the previous AGM. They were made available in March, and hopefully you all have seen them, and we'll have a vote on them in a moment. I was going to, John, could I have John and Glenn to propose and second those minutes? And I'll get a poll up. There we go. So you can take with what you want. I'll give you anyone else? Okay, there we are. So we've got 33 for, none against, and 2 abstentions. Matters arising. As you're aware, matter of the next year's dinner, we've cancelled the dinner because of COVID, and we'll have a new agenda online. We'll have a note later about next year's meeting. Any other matters arising, John?
No, I haven't got any other items that people wanted to discuss.
Right, excellent, excellent. And correspondence, certainly when I last checked, we've not had any correspondence.
No, nothing that was specifically AGM. Obviously, there's the usual stuff coming in for the committee meetings, but nothing at an AGM level.
Right, good, that's good. So now we move on to the Treasurer's report, and I just need to find Jenny and unmute her.
Okay, can everyone see that? So I've just updated the account summary from what you all had, which in the minutes that were sent round. So we have £69 in cash, £17 in the gyro, £17,075 in the current account, and £114,232 in the memorial fund. And the accounts have been audited by Dave, our honorary auditor. So they're all fine. So yeah, major items of expenditure since June 2020. So we rehosed the GG wind system, printed the record, purchased some carabiners and purchased some SRT rope. Looking forward, wait, I just can't, oh, sorry, I can't see my own slideshow. So we've got some big projects coming up. We've repaired Branston Gill Wall, that's done now, and just got the invoice through for that. So hopefully that will stop the river undercut in the car park. And we've also had a new fire alarm system installed in the cottages. So obviously those are fairly costly, but essential works. The cottages haven't been generating as much income as normal because of lockdown. Obviously, we've had to do quite a few refunds, but in the times where they have been open, we've been able to generate income. And they're going to reopen now because the cottages are in tier 2. But obviously there might be further restrictions down the line. Other things that have affected the accounts and will affect next year are GG. So we haven't held one this year, so that will show on next year's accounts. And although we got the grant from the government of £10,000, that will show, that has shown on the accounts you've seen, so that won't offset it in the 2020-2021 accounts. Just something to bear in mind. Thanks go to everyone for donations. We have had lots of donations. Rick and Pat for doing the library, and obviously that's generated some income through the sale of books, which they've arranged and posted to everyone, and that's been really great. To Rob for helping me with the treasurer role, because obviously I'm still learning, and and I think I'm getting better at it, but I've still had to ask quite a few questions. And Steve Kirk helped me generate the membership list from who had paid their subs, because that was quite a mammoth task and I got a bit lost in Excel spreadsheets, spelling everyone's name differently. And thanks to Dave for auditing the accounts, which I gave him at last minute this year. So thank you for him for rushing those through. And yeah, I think that's everyone. And thank you to everyone. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you very much. So do you want go away? Good. Okay, so we can vote on approval if we vote on approving the Treasurer's report, and that is proposed by Jenny Smith and seconded by John Webb. And I'll launch the polling now. If you don't have video available, if you send a vote by chat, and we'll count it. You're obviously popular, Jenny. Okay, thank you. So that's 40 votes in favour, and we've got 42 votes. In fact, we've got 2 electronic.
43. That's Mole, Beastie and Andrea.
Right, excellent. Thank you.
So what was the final score, please?
It was 43. So it's got no, it'll be 44, won't it? It's got 40 online, and then we've got the extras. We'll need to check back on the double votes, but okay. So that's that.
On Pete as well.
I thought what we do is have a panel of committee, just to see if does anyone have any questions they want to ask, and I'll unmute committee members as and when, and we can, in fact, what I'll do is I'll get everyone on the committee to unmute, and then if anyone has any questions, if they flag it up on the chat before. No, everyone happy with your, everyone happy, deliriously happy with your committee and what we've done. Good.
Can I just make a statement, Paul, seeing as it's very close timing wise? Obviously, Jenny mentioned cottages reopening. Yes, they will reopen on the 3rd of December, just to allow me to go up on the 2nd and clean the shower heads with disinfectants, etc., make sure they're safe again. The only thing people should remember is if you live in a tier 3 area, you're not supposed to overnight away from your tier 3 area. However, it's up to the individual. We are not going to police anybody who wants to stay at the cottages.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've said with that we're also going to go ahead with the meets on essentially the same basis as in the summer. Caving is an organised sport, or at least that's what someone in the government has entitled it. I'm not quite sure about the organised bit. And subject to a short risk assessment, which Russell has helped draft, we go ahead with the meets. There are certain restrictions, but essentially we should be going ahead with meets. So that's that. Just a couple of words. Despite the lockdown and the change things this year, I think the club has had quite an active few months with people caving, getting out, and enjoying the days. I think some people, because of distance, because of concerns, will have got a little perhaps left behind and perhaps feeling de-skilled. If people do want to get involved in refreshers, they can contact any of the officers on the committee, and I'm sure we can arrange sessions with appropriate precautions and so on to get people back up to speed with things, because I think we want to keep people involved and going. And I think most of the trips we've been avoiding having very, very difficult trips or anything. So we've now got a poll to accept the officers' reports, which I'm sure you will have all carefully read in advance. Acceptance of officers' reports. I'll just, this is going to be proposed by Steve Kirk and seconded by Robert Scott.
Paul, we actually now have 5 couples that are on.
Right. Thank you.
Add that on.
Yeah, Russell. I've unmuted.
Yeah. Oh, what do you want?
Just wanted to clarify the numbers from the caving point of view, because the way the regs come out now, up to 6 people can meet outdoors without any great organisation, so to speak. So in theory, you don't need that risk assessment approach. The only time you would want to bring that into play is if you had a group larger than 6 that you wanted to organise. So as far as I would say day-to-day caving is concerned, with people in groups of less than 6, you don't really need any great sort of paperwork, but it's all the peripheral issues around it that people need to make a personal considered judgment about, as regards travelling, tiers that you might be living in, where you're going to, and all that sort of thing. But it basically comes down to an individual decision, personal decision. But it does open the way for the club meets to get going again.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking particularly the risk assessment. I think we should do them for the club meets. I mean, potentially we'll have more than 6 people, but also just from, I suppose, a sort of corporate governance point of view, I think we should do that. Obviously, for private meets or whatever we want to call them, people organising and borrowing the kit tackle, then, as you say, less than 6 is fine. Earlier in the summer, we had a meet at Rivelhead where we had, where we split into groups. We had 12 people, I think, in attendance, and had 2 groups, and that worked very well. And we had some other meets which similarly worked well. So we've got so John votes on the acceptance. We've got 38 have voted to accept, none against, and no abstentions. And if we add another 5 to that, that would make 43 in favour. Election of officers. We've had some retirements from the committee, and people have offered to replace the posts. There's the number of acceptances matches the number of vacant posts, so there's no need for an election. Patsy Miller has been proposed and seconded as junior vice president, and there's no contest with that. We're welcoming to the committee James Smith, David James, Lady Pilling, and Jackie Cowan. I'd like to thank Steve Kelly, Kevin Gannon, Brian Norton, and Rick for their participation in the committee this year. They've worked hard.
Paul, one thing I think I'd like to highlight at this point is that one of the reasons that some of the people have become more interested in being members of the committee is we've shown that this format, as this Zoom format, works quite well for all the committee meetings and the day-to-day running of the club. So going forward, the plan is that all the committee meetings will meet at Horton, but for people who can't get to Horton for whatever reasons, travel, work, whatever, there will be the possibility of being an active member of the committee, though not necessarily coming up to Ivy Cottage on a Friday evening at 7:30. So we're hoping that this will open this up to a lot more membership. So there will be a video camera and a microphone in the cottage for those people who want to participate but just can't physically be there, because I know that's been a barrier to quite a few people being on the committee. That's it.
Right, thank you, John. Yeah, that's good. Okay, meets list. Glenn has done a great job again this year on organising the meets list. There are still a few meets left unfilled, and I think with all the uncertainty of this year, it's been very difficult actually getting that together. Glenn is wanting to hand on organising the meets list for the following year. I think that's absolutely right, because you need you need some freshness to it, and if you keep doing it for too long, it becomes a bit stale and difficult, and we forget whether it was this year or last year of badgering people. But I would like to thank Glenn for the superb meets lists he's got, which I think have been, and I'd like to encourage people just to have a little look at his last post with a few gaps. And I must admit, I need to put my name down for some of them as well. So I'm sure there will be some other people. I think they're one of the really great features of the club around meets, and I think enjoy them hugely. Do you want to add anything to that, Glenn? Or
no, just like to pass thanks on to all the people that have offered to coordinate meets next year. Again, it is looking quite healthy. There's only half a dozen meets that actually require coordinators, and to be honest with you, as I've said in all my communications, there's no dire need now for people to commit 18 months in advance, where if there are no meet coordinator, we can actually arrange that nearer the time using the communication tools that are available to us. But yeah, the 2021-2022 meets list is looking pretty healthy, providing of course that we can go ahead with it and things start to get back to normal.
Thank you for that. Right, and then regular business. As always, we're required to have a motion to avoid the expense of employing professional auditors. It's proposed that for the financial year, the Treasurer is permitted to submit unaudited accounts to the FCA. The honorary auditor will continue to examine the books for our own purposes. And the motion is that the membership allows the society, Craven Pothole Club Limited, to disapply the requirement to undertake a full professional audit for the forthcoming year in accordance with the provisions made in Section 84 of the Cooperative and Community Benefit Societies Act 2014. That's proposed by Jenny Smith and seconded by John Helm. And as noted, Dave Milner kindly undertakes that role, which is both valuable for the club and saves us a considerable significant amount of money. So I'm going to launch the polling now. This is to accept the review of the accounts. So we've got one abstention, and on the electronic poll, 39 votes. I haven't had any other submissions by chat, so we'll assume that that's 44 people in favour. And onward. Is there, John, is there any other business that needs to be raised?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Does anyone else, if anyone wants to raise a hand for some business, then now is your chance. Right. So, notices. We have the, we'll be having the photographic, we'll have the literature and photographic results immediately after the AGM. Next year's dinner, we haven't chosen a venue for the dinner yet, partly to keep things flexible. So the 92nd AGM of the club will be on the 27th of November 2021. We have provisionally booked the AGM and dinner at Gisborne for Saturday the 26th of November 2022. So we've got a slot for the AGM and dinner on the 26th of November 2022. What we're proposing is that to keep things flexible, we can discuss a dinner later next year when events are more clear. The Sunday meet. So there won't be a president's meet as such, but Dave Barker, our incoming president, is going to go for a walk with the honorary secretary and walk out what would have been the meet, walk out what would have been the president's meet. We hope perhaps that we can run that later in the year. It would be nice to do that. Tomorrow evening, we are going to have ham and eggs. You don't need to let the secretary know whether you're going to attend, because he doesn't need to tell anyone numbers. We thought people would gather at 4:30, and you can provide your own food at 5 o'clock. The presidents will hand over their chain, so Hoggy will be passing the chain on to Dave Barker. And we also thought again we might have a real ham and eggs early next year as well. Any thoughts on any of that? Good. And as a final thing, the next ordinary committee meeting will be on the 11th of December. That's a Thursday. If anyone, so I'm now going to hand over to Dave Barker and Dave Hogarth, who have got who will have who will announce the literary awards, and then we'll go through the we'll go through the slide awards. So just and Dave Hogarth's already unmuted, and Dave Barker should be free as well. So so if you want to, so Dave and Dave, if you want to start off with the literary awards, I will announce the literary awards.
I will, when I find my piece of paper, which is just fallen on the floor. Okay, found it. So for the first one, we've got the Meets Report Prize. Peaks Weekend, written by Glenn Costin. You got that?
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Albert Mitchell Trophy, Malcolm Rising, the Autumn 2019 extensions to John Cordingley.
Well done, John.
Tom Pettit Cup, Bar Humbug Trip Report 2019 by Tony Credland. And we've got runner-up award, Interesting Points of View by Dave Allenack.
Yeah, good on you, Dave.
Well done, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Right, and now I will share. Now I'll share the slideshow. So the winners, I will need to be prompted to move. I will need to be prompted to move them on.
So we've got the best underground print, which is Selgill Goblin Shaft by James Smith.
Sorry, just there we go.
That's okay. Yeah, that one. That's the one.
Superb picture.
Seem to remember it is. Seem to remember being there once upon a time. So, okay. We've come to the second one, which is best above ground activities. Difficult one, this, but we decided on South Downs mountain biking by Gordon Caldwell. Because it's pretty. Now then, best above ground climbing. Now there were some really excellent ones on this, but some were totally obscured from our decision because we couldn't pronounce them. So in future, only take pictures of things which we can pronounce. So this one's pretty hard as it is. It's descending from Spitz, that's my pronunciation, towards somewhere else Spitz by Nick Simmons. There was a lot of really good photographs in this competition, and the decision to make this was difficult. So thank you very much to the winner. Okay, portfolio of 6 prints. Bitches by Glenn Costin. There we go.
So that's the 19 marble steps.
Yes.
And that's Mousehole in Gaping.
Very impressive.
A very impressive place. There's Outsleep Beck Pot. It's a bit of water. And there's entrance picture of Breast Pot. I'm not sure I'd have recognised that. And Spout Pot in Swinstone. Right.
Now then, we've Spirit of Gaping Gill. Once again, difficult decisions because there were so many good ones. But we decided on Jackie Cow. Well, I think it's Jackie Cowling. It could be Jeff. We get knocked down, but we get up again. Please put your hand up, whichever Cowling it is.
Let's get my it was Jackie. It's Jackie, I think.
Thought it might be, but
right. But yes, it was good. The summer was really good. I enjoyed that very much.
And for the best humorous print, it's checking all Cooper's passports for entry into Lancashire by Barbara Pickersgill.
They obviously have some small people in Lancashire.
Well,
Had to hide the rifle.
Right. So there we go.
and for the best video was Up a Long Chain by John Webb.
Should play. Oh, there we go. And that's it. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will unmute everyone, or at least thank you all very much for coming. It's been an interesting thing organising this. Right.
I like the should have been all the way to.
Can you hear me, Paul?
Yes. Yeah.
Problem.
I'd just like to say that this is my first ever Zoom meeting. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And also what I want to say is that the photographs were absolutely fantastic.
There were,
The
weren't
one
they?
on the mountain coming off with the lamps was, I think, is one of the best mountain photographs I've ever seen. It was an incredible photograph.
Till you see the rest.
Right.
Thank you.
Sorry, is that running now? Or
No.
No, play from beginning.
yes, that's what I thought. That's what I'd done.
Play it from
Oh,
beginning.
right.
That's it.
I thought I'd clicked it to do that. There we are. Good.
It's working now.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, isn't that the one that's on the front page of the journal?
Mm.
Very good, but we didn't think it was an underground shot.
What is that?
That's a small mammal.
They'll recognise that.
Go get it up for me, haven't you?
Oh, no. It's probably not obvious. You can't see the colour.
Scotched up, Paul.
Give it a boot.
Okay.
Hello, Brian.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it says so.
Let's have the next.
Oh, I like the shadow.
Where that is?
Paul Travers, isn't it? No?
Oh, Pot.
They'll run. I can get these to run round again. So
Yeah. That's nice. Because of the lighting, people are getting a lot better pictures.
Like that. Winner.
Pictures of pitches.
That's a really good shot.
Oh, the one of Jenny.
This is lovely.
Gournier.
Is that where it was? Right.
Yeah.
Recognised it. There's just no scale on it, John.
No.
Unfortunately. Wonderful place.
Socially distanced. It looks lonely, doesn't
I
it?
see that like that very often.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
What do you call it, isn't it?
I think so.
Ben Irish, Northern Ireland. That's Lough Neagh, Northern Ireland.
All right.
Crowded. It's got stuck again, Paul.
That's before socially distancing.
That's a beauty. I couldn't.
So that was Ribblehead.
Yeah.
That's not Ribblehead.
No, definitely not.
It seems, I expect they're talking at the moment. I don't know what time kick-off was. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, I hadn't spotted that.
Wow.
Just reminding us what's to come.
Quite impressive.
Oh
Was that-
yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It's part of a whole ridge which goes on and on. That's great.
Yeah.
Bose, was it? That, yeah. Brilliant, that one.
Oh yes.
Good as well.
Oh, that looks a bit steep.
That's atmospheric.
That's a good one.
That's an amazing photograph of that.
Somebody's got indigestion.
Swampy cello.
That's good.
Mm.
Not been many vehicles.
That's what I want. It looks like you're moving potatoes around.
Not sure on your potatoes.
That
It's
Headley's leg.
Headley's foot.
Oh, Headley's foot. Right.
You're not selling it.
The dig, whatever it is.
It's not sink.
Oh, is it? Oh, the one that might be doing something. Where did the label descend?
From the motorbike.
Ooh. Sir William Flood.
Lack of
Weather.
Different.
He looks like he's got ears poking out of his hat.
Oh, that's humorous.
Where?
Ugh.
It was pretty good most of the time.
That was wet.
Hmm.
No teabag shots, Jackie.
Hang on, they're coming.
All right. Ah, there we go. Gratuitous advertising.
That's why we can't get any Yorkshire tea anymore, is it?
Well, we had enough tea bags, unfortunately, not enough gas to actually boil the water.
Very nice.
Just suck them. Just suck them. Brown water in the back.
What is it you're standing in, Dave? Is it a
Country
bar?
box, as far as I could see. I don't know.
Like a bar?
I think it's actually. I think it was at Farm Gate. I think the kids used to stand in it when they come waiting for the school bus or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like that. For humorous, I like that. No idea. I
Be a moment of fame, Jackie.
haven't been back in the sitting room.
I need to kick it on again, Paul.
Oh, I see why it stops.
It's a lot of grey hair then, Michael, these days.
It's only noticeable because I've got very bushy now.
It's nice to hear you.
You can just about fit it in a bobble at the back of his head now.
Excellent.
Do the videos have any sound?
Yes, they've got sound.
It still have sound.
They have got sound, yeah.
Oh, it's just me that can't hear it then.
Because that's where I fell over but managed to keep on filming.
We could have done that for the best humorous video then.
It's obviously not as jerky on a faster process.
No, it's better than this when you actually watch
You're
it.
trying to that for the humorous one year. Don't matter what you're expecting, does it?
There is.
This will be perfect without sound, Jackie.
Gordon.
Do we have subtitles?
Yeah.
It's the background thunderstorm that you're supposed to be hearing.
I know my place.
I thought it was bacon and eggs you were cooking, not fish.
Right.
Thank
Well,
you very much.
Very good.
I can sort of just set that running. I can set that running again if anyone wants to watch it through again. I'll just leave it running on.